Ahoy, fellow space racers.
And welcome aboard the Joy of Trek, an extreme podcast exploring the skydiving and multispatial probes of Star Trek.
All of it.
I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay.
And designing a new shuttle is your chief engineer, Greg.
Together, we're on a mission through the gas giants of Star Trek to find the survivor's guilt in every Marquis and the excellence in every episode.
Even the self-treated wounds.
Because every episode must be someone's favourite, and it might as well be us.
So replicate a stack of banana pancakes and join us as we invade others' privacy into the Joy of Trek.
I mean, strictly speaking, the historical documents are a great invasion of everybody's privacy anyway.
They are. If we take Star Trek Voyager through the lens of Galaxy Quest, then Gilligan's Island, you think that's real?
Oh, those poor people.
Hello, everyone. Oh, and if you haven't guessed what today's episode is from Chief Greg's excellent opening, then today we're watching... Okay, what are we watching?
We are watching Extreme Risk Voyager Season 5, Episode 3.
Yeah, it's a bit of an emo season.
A little bit, yeah.
Considering we've just done Night, which was also Season 5,
I was
1.
actually literally listening to that episode of our podcast yesterday in the car, so I'm very much still in that same...
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wow, this the timing is excellent. I mean, literally, it's like, that's 2 episodes ago in the
literally,
season.
Yeah.
I mean, it starts off with, Tom Paris going like, I figured this wasn't the last we'd seen of these guys.
Of the Malon. Oh,
yes,
yeah,
the Malon.
seeing them again. And a brief return of Vorik as well, because in this episode, hey, for the listeners at home, how would you describe this episode?
Had we seen Vorik before?
Oh, in season 4, but not in an episode that we've done here.
Oh, okay. The male. Hang on. Okay, I thought.
No, Vorik is the Vulcan engineer.
Oh, sorry. I was confused. I was thinking you were talking about the Malon captain.
Oh, that's Controller Vrelk.
Vrelk. That was it. That must have been why it.
Yeah, they're pretty similar.
All right.
But you're not getting out of summarizing this.
Oh, no, not at all. Let's see. How are we going to do this? After space pirates try to abscond with one of Voyager's probes in a fantastic musical scene on board the docking bay of the Voyager, the crew perform a rendition of Greased Lightning.
Oh, wow! Delta Flyer. Ooh, Delta Flyer.
Which leads to some scuba diving on a gas giant.
Yeah. Oh, we go from skydiving to scuba diving. Well done. And in the meantime, some people explore their feelings in bad ways and good ways. And,
I think the problem is that not much exploring is being done.
Yes, there is a substantial lack of that. So I'm really curious to find out who recommended this for us this week. And this recommendation comes from James, who said, I think Roxann Dawson's acting is super subtle and she does grief really well. As you probably know, it's after the news that the Marquis are dead and she's grieving. She isn't her typical angry self, which for her is odd. She's just numb. She does things like taking silly risks to feel something, and she gets riskier and riskier. James continues, I was the rock for my family after my dad suddenly passed away in a car accident 2 weeks before my 27th birthday. Even though I was the youngest, I was also the smart and calm one. My mum and sister were so emotional, and I had to close down to hold them up, if that makes sense. I was back at work after a few days, organised the funeral and sorted stuff with the police. I was numb though. I've worked all this stuff out, but did engage in some silly behaviours a few years later that were not okay, made worse by being in a bad relationship. Numbness was safe. I saw that episode again about 18 months ago, 5 years after my dad and 6 months after a breakup, and I just got her vibe, her numbness and behaviours. As I already said, her performance is really f***ing on point. The half-Klingon that was all fire, now so subtle and carrying on. I love Star Trek, all iterations, but subtle acting aren't usually part of its wheelhouse, so this was so refreshing. Hell yeah, well, James.
Thank you for that. That's, I completely agree. Yeah, it's like taking Blan in a completely different direction, and
because that's a key aspect that wasn't in that we sort of mocked a little bit, or I did, calling it emo. Like it's someone dealing with depression, burnout, grief,
suffering from, not dealing with, but yes.
Oh yeah. Which excellent fodder for our usual humorous shenanigans.
Right.
I thought, this is going to be the time where I always write these notes on my little sort of screen cap document, but for the recording itself, I use the GIF. So this time I thought, okay, I'll write some jokes and then I'll have them ready, and I'll be able to remind myself of the jokes and make Kay laugh. It's not a terribly funny episode.
It's
Kay.
no,
it's
no,
actually
no.
kind of serious.
It is
a lot of things.
Very serious episode.
But thank you, James, for that recommendation. That's really awesome to hear this coming from someone who really recognised themselves in this story, because that's what we always look for in these recommendations. And by the way, for the listeners at home, if you have an idea for an episode that really touched you and it resonated with you in the way that this episode resonated with James, we really want to hear from you. Go to joyoftrek.com/links. Okay, I nearly said the wrong podcast there. And please send us your recommendation. We want to hear what it's like through your perspective. Because as I was watching this episode, I didn't really feel very connected, because my most recent experience has been with burnout. And
right.
I have a very different personality than Alana. But, like, I could recognize that different things affect different people in different ways. And I think James is absolutely right. Roxann Dawson knocked it out of the park.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have any warp cores to
Yes, I do.
Yes?
I say
Ooh,
we eject the
exciting.
warp core.
Basically, Chakotay.
Okay.
The way he, grabs her, brings her onto the holodeck, not okay. You know?
Okay. I understand where you're coming from, but I will actually do shields up.
Yeah.
Because they share a different culture than the rest of the people. Like, they were Marquis.
Yeah.
And this... You're completely right. You know, physically forcing someone, as we're going to see, into something that they don't want to is a therapeutic no-no, and is not how friends should treat each other.
Right.
But that's also culturally that's how we do it. Those are our boundaries. There are other cultures where different rules apply. He's much more physical in disciplining other Marquis.
Right.
Right, much more likely to dominate, because that's a cultural language that they share. And I think I'm going to try and make that argument with you when we get closer to that. I think that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to reach out to her in a way that nobody else is reaching out to her. They're doing it as Starfleet, as humans, as crewmates. But he's a fellow veteran of a conflict that nobody else understands, and so I think he's trying to lay that bridge with her.
Right. Well, I mean, it's also a kind of stupid way to do it, because you could have just walked onto the holodeck first and then told the holodeck to run that program and drop her right into it, rather than physically dragging her into the holodeck. You know, it's so.
Well, let's talk about it when we get there. But you're absolutely right to point that out. That is an invasion of personal space after an invasion of privacy. But I think both of those were done with due consideration and as a last resort.
Okay. Well, right. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, still,
That's
I'm not saying. I mean, it happened. There's no right or wrong in it, but it's just it's.
No, I'm delighted that you're pointing it out. Like, it's a struggle for us now to come up with funny jokes about it and do our usual levity.
I'm sure I can. I'm sure I can, but I don't want to be. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to be getting flippant about it later on, but
that's totally fair, because we come at this from a place of sincerity and caring. We have this excellent insight by James, and now we can just be stupid dinguses making ding dong jokes. Oh no, I've got the. No, we're doing the warp with this one, because then we also have the
computer disengage safety protocols.
Warning. Disengaging safety protocols presents extreme risk of injury.
Extreme risk,
Override.
Acknowledged. Safety protocols have been disengaged.
That's how the episode opens.
Pretty much, yeah. Although, also with the fastest climbing shuttlecraft you've ever seen.
Lieutenant, we're already at 200,000 meters. You could thermalize at this altitude.
I said higher.
We're at 300,000 meters.
That's 100.
Yeah.
That's 100 kilometers in 5 seconds. That's even fast, even for a spaceship.
Yes, it is.
Especially going straight up, horizontal. Not so bad, but.
And in orbit, that's a lot of energy to add to
to
spacecraft.
But it's all on the holodeck. We're on the compressed time, I guess, here. Because B'Elanna is going space skydiving.
Yes. Oh, I've got some trivia for you here. This suit that she's wearing was originally designed for William Shatner.
Oh.
Yeah, there was a space skydiving scene that was going to open Star Trek Generations.
Oh.
Where Chekhov and Scotty
Well, they did a skydiving scene in Generations, didn't they? Or was that one of the other movies?
No, that's Star Trek. the J.J. Abrams film from 12 years later, 2009. Generations was in, it was earlier, 94. So it was almost 15 years before that. But that scene wound up being cut. Maybe it wasn't like a very good special effect. There are still some clips of that on some DVDs.
Password protected tumblers? Oh, no.
Well, no. Because this is apparently how James Kirk decides to spend his retirement. Okay. Just letting his buddies Chekhov and Scotty just wait in the field in Iowa. And he's so excited that he nailed the landing after having jumped out over the Arabian Peninsula. And then he landed here on the dime. And Chekhov goes, well, it actually was 30 meters over there. Yeah. 30 meters, is that impressive accuracy for a big old high jump? I mean, you've done skydiving.
Right. Well, the hardest part is getting, from 300 kilometers up, you're going to have a lot of wind drift that you have to account for.
Right.
So it's more impressive that he got in the field. The 30 meters is not particularly good accuracy for a targeted landing. There are precision skydiving competitions, and they literally need electronic sensors to determine who gets closest to the target. There's literally regulations of what the heel of your boot can be shaped like in order to allow for precision stomping. Precision stomping on the target, yes.
Do they ever... Would it be an idea to just put a pair of pumps down on the ground that you have to land sort of wiggle your toes into as you descend?
Yes, but that's kind of dangerous. Then you probably see a lot of twisted ankles like that, even when they... they actually have inflatable...
It is difficult to walk in pumps.
Right, yes, but they actually have inflatable cushions with a digital sensor in the middle to determine the exact distance to the center of the target that you landed on. So
I remember sitting next to you in the cinema when we were watching the J.J. Abrams film 2009, and we saw the orbital skydiving scene, and I thought you'd be really excited about that, but you know, it was pretty cool. But then you saw the automatic retraction of the canopy, and you were just rock hard. You were just, I've never seen something so cool in a sci-fi movie.
If you invent one of those, you've got it made. You've got every skydiver will love you. It's like,
and suddenly the sport of skydiving will become a lot more attractive because everybody thinks it's cool until you have to pack your chute for the 900th time.
Yes,
and that's before they let you jump once. You have to get really good at packing.
Not quite, but yes. They usually start you with packing a little bit later.
Well, they certainly don't let you jump under a canopy that you've packed yourself without, unfolding and triple checking. And
well, it's actually slightly different. There's several stages. Basically, when students are taught how to pack parachutes, they basically there's 5 stages. At least that's the way we did it at our club. They get to a certain point in the process,
right,
and then they have to call someone over to check that everything is done correctly, who signs it off on a card, and then they're allowed to proceed to the next stage.
Okay.
And once then they have to again call someone over to come and check that everything has been done correctly. And at the end, you'll have a packing card which has 5 signatures on it from one or more checkers.
Right.
So then you know that the parachute has been packed according to standards.
See, that's very sensible.
It is.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that is currently necessary because we don't have one of those magic auto folders that just takes care of it and puts everything back in its little box and they can reuse it.
Yeah, immediately, seconds later.
But yes, necessity in their case. Yes,
it already starts here a bit because she's clearly going to do something exciting, but she seems to be a little bit dour about the whole prospect of going to jump out of a shuttlecraft from great height.
She's so neutral, and for someone who's normally so animated and so aggressive in everything that she does, she's very passionate. I was just immediately captivated, and I couldn't take my eyes off hers just to see when are you going to do something.
Yeah. The most emotion we see on her face is actually when she's interrupted.
Bridge to Torres.
I don't believe it.
Report to engineering on the double.
Really?
Oh, for fuck's sake, yeah.
And then we get an excellent special effect. So when you see her falling down and then standing up, that's all CGI in 2002.
You can see that. Oh, yeah, the entire thing, yeah. Well, there's also, this is one of the potentials for a deleted scene is where, because the safety protocols have been disengaged and she tells the program to end, she just goes splat into the ground. Because
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking that, you just disabled those safety protocols, so, what is the difference in momentum, in inertia between you and the environment? Does that get simulated?
Well, of course. I mean, I guess you just have to simulate the air rush. I mean, admittedly, at 300 kilometers up, there's not going to be a lot of air. That's basically jumping from ISS levels almost.
Wait, 300,000 kilometers?
300,000 meters.
Meters, yeah, I was
But
going to say.
that's
300,000
300
kilometers is a light second. That's the moon.
Yeah, it'll take a little bit longer than that. Yeah, but
If you even make it.
it's only 300 kilometers. Well, you eventually. I mean, if you don't have any orbital velocity, you'll come straight down.
That is how that works, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. Okay, so grumpily, our chief engineer of the USS Voyager, not you, Chief, not you. Hey, how do you think our chief thinks about other chiefs? Is it?
I think they probably have their own separate little chief chat channel on where they bitch about other people.
Do you think he sometimes gets confused when we talk about chiefs, and he thinks maybe we're talking about him?
By now, he should know that.
Do you think it makes him sad every time that he thinks, "Oh, is it me?" No. Do you think it makes him sad that we've been talking about him and we still haven't asked him anything?
Well, it could be. Maybe whenever I say that my chiefs aren't chiefing, that he might take some umbrage at that.
Should we ask him?
Would be polite, but we're not going to hear the answer until for another month or two.
Well, let's do what our chief would have done and talk about costumes, because this suit, which I imagine had to go through a little adjustment before this William Shatner-sized space suit would fit Roxann Dawson.
We are not the only people talking about it, because Seven is in full catty mode.
Leaping from a spacecraft at exospheric altitude, a curious form of recreation.
I was thinking that too. Is it catty or casual? And in her case, it's both.
Yeah.
Because she used to B'Elanna giving as good as she gets. She's used to not withholding herself in front of B'Elanna.
Yeah.
She's very comfortable.
I was not aware that protective attire was required for this mission.
It's like
because it's really cool. It's covered in all of these square patches of blue reflective material that seem more silver in the deleted scenes of Generations.
Maybe they give it a little touch up, or it was just whatever the camera settings or the local lighting was like.
But B'Elanna isn't responding to any of these barbs. She's just being very plain. Oh, yeah, I was using that for orbital skydiving. And then Seven goes, oh, that's a ridiculous way to spend your time.
Yeah, well, I'll do that. I'll spend it how I choose to. But yeah, she pawns off her task on which she was summoned. So she gets summoned out of the holodeck.
Yes,
by Chakotay. And on the way over to the bridge where she was summoned to, she basically
to engineering.
Oh, to engineering. Okay.
And she pawns off the job. Yeah, you're right. To Seven. So there's an aspect there that I actually think is quite good, that I experienced in my sort of burnout recovery, asking for help.
Yes.
Which is something that we're not used to doing, and that's supposed to be what B'Elanna's doing. Does she actually wind up asking for help?
Yeah, she says, I'm not feeling so well. Can you handle the launch without me? Is what she says.
I know, but do you think she's actually just trying to get back to the holodeck?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
No, I didn't get that vibe either.
No. She's just done with that now, and I'm just going to have a lie down.
Shall I inform the doctor you're ill? No. Don't.
We cut to credits, which I never skip on Voyager. It's so beautiful. And then we get the kind of the A-plot, I think, officially.
I think so, yes. They have launched the probe, and it is very probe-shaped.
It's so cool.
It is so it is so very probe-shaped.
Okay, yes.
With a flared base and everything.
There are certain password-protected tumblers where I'm sure you could... well, I shouldn't say that. I know. No, I know that there's some OnlyFans performers or you know, whatever, amateur sex performers on the internet who do a lot of Star Trek related stuff.
Oh, okay.
And one of them, he's a gay gentleman, Sean Ferrick, I think. I heard an interview with him on another podcast where he was talking about how he got in a little bit of trouble with OnlyFans or whatever the host was.
Yeah.
When he was using a toy phaser as a sex toy on one of his videos.
Yeah.
And that's not okay, because there's apparently rules where if you're using something as a sex toy, it has to be a sex toy and not some other object, because that's
what about cucumbers?
Yeah, see,
also
that sort of
offline,
that sort of thing, because those are not necessarily known to be safe to do, and you know, kids don't try this at home. Well, kids should be on YouTube,
know, right?
But, you know, kids in the transitive sense. So yes, maybe there is a toy probe that you can, because you're right. And it's got those it looks like annular warp nacelles or
something
little
like
warp
that,
wings.
yeah.
It sort of looks like Darth Maul's Sith fighter.
Oh, yeah. Or
with those pads on the side.
Or the Jedi scout ship that is used by Obi-Wan with the warp ring. You know,
oh, yes.
Kind of like
that's a flared base too, yeah.
Well, that's actually the nose, I believe. In that.
On the nose section. Well, some toys are reversible.
Other way around, yes. But yes, the
docking is also a thing. So it does dock the nose. Yes. And if you don't know what that is at home, don't bother. You're fine. You're all fine.
Captain, someone's locked onto our probe with a tractor beam.
It looks like a Malon freighter.
I had a feeling we hadn't seen the last of them.
And it was all to test some new technologies. It's got multispatial shielding, it's got some Borg-inspired updates, and so they really want it back, but it's being snatched by a tractor beam.
The Malon are trying to make off with it.
Hadn't seen the last of those. They send a warning.
Yeah.
Captain Janeway is very captain-y this episode.
Yes.
I think she does an excellent job. She still, has boundaries that she doesn't cross, but right up to there, she makes decisions, she makes ultimatums. She's doing an excellent job. So first of all, warning the Malon, hands off our property. They don't respond. All right.
If we instruct the probe to emit a polaron burst, it could disrupt the tractor beam.
Do it.
And then the probe can't get away from them, but so the Malon ship is faster than the probe.
Yeah.
But the Malon ship doesn't catch the probe.
Not yet. Apparently,
But it was right there. But it was right next to it.
Head start. Yeah, well, they had to sort of sort out there.
Yeah.
It's whatever. Come on.
Whatever the plot requires. Yes. They decide to steer the probe into a gas giant. The Malon try to follow and are destroyed. Boom. End of episode.
Bunch of idiots. This ship. Did you get that those ships were the same size as Voyager?
Yes, I suppose I still remember that from Night.
I had the feeling in Night that it was significantly larger.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean, it was roughly on the same scale, I would have called it. Also, I noticed that, this was my first thought. I was actually, they're still venting. So this seems to be a design thing and not necessarily something that the freighter was doing, because it has the same little green gas coming out the sides.
Yeah.
Anyway. So these guys are just going all over the place, just find
venting.
Find stuff to vent their, what was it again? Antimatter.
Antimatter
Waste.
Yeah, do you want to do
No,
we
did that.
I know.
I literally listened to myself going on that rant yesterday, so it's...
Now, do you find that satisfying or aggravating?
Ooh, that I can't do it right now? No, it's like I've already got it out of my system.
Exactly.
So
I find that too. I find it really, really comforting to hear myself having a little conniption, and then I know, the conniption has been had, and I don't need to have it anymore. Because, this is one of those, the Star Trek thing that a culture has one thing that they're about. And in their case,
it's dumping metal.
It's dumping waste. And all the Malon dump waste all the time, always.
Well, I mean, the ones we encounter.
No, but I mean, exactly. When there's an episode about the Malon, it's going to be about them dumping waste. When there's an episode about Klingon, it's going to be about them being warriors, or on a warship.
Right,
they've got scientists, they've got sculptors,
monoculture,
potters.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were just discussing how to retrieve the probe. Is there any possibility of transporting it out?
No.
Just no.
We never has been established that transporter ranges to be at least 40,000 kilometers.
Yeah, but that's in the presence of magic rocks or magic gas. There's always something to create an artificial barrier. Because, the transporter was originally created as a cost-saving measure to save on special effects of landing a shuttle every episode in the original
Tom Paris
series.
goes right against that, because he finally sees another opportunity to have his elevator pitch to build the Delta Flyer.
Here we go again.
Yeah, which apparently he's pitched a whole bunch of times. We've never heard about it before.
Well, apparently, not specifically the Delta Flyer, because the conversation with Tuvok goes, it's like, but what if we build a special shuttle for it? And not Tuvok, Chakotay.
Bottom line, we don't have time to design and build a ship from scratch.
I knew you were going to say that, so I've given us a head start.
Yeah, and he's been very clever. He's filled the design with compliments to other members of the decision-making team.
Behold, the Delta Flyer.
One of them is Tuvok's brilliant shielding design. Brought him on board.
Yes, Borg-inspired weaponry.
And a little bit for himself as well.
Hey, every one of these knobs and levers is fully functional.
And completely superfluous.
Maybe to you. I am tired of tapping panels. For once, I want controls that let me actually feel the ship I'm piloting.
Which is fair enough, but it's still going to be fly-by-wire.
Yeah, totally. But
I mean, strictly speaking, when you're doing it cable connected, it's still fly-by-wire. It's just like physical wires rather than electronic wires.
Fun.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, what am I doing? Why am I undermining one of the few jokes that we can possibly have in this episode? Kay, great job, flying by wire. Love it. This was possibly worse than undermining it, actually, now I'm realizing.
But yes, we can replicate what we need. We've got some spare parts, and we can turn this into a smashing little ship here.
Everybody gets on board. Like, even Harry, who was kind of opposing, oh, here we go again.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, no, this is a great plan. I'll put in as much overtime as is needed. 7 as well.
What about you, B'Elanna?
She's just checked out.
Whatever. Yeah, okay. Guess so.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Let's do
it's
it.
like it's an engineer's dream to build a new ship. Yeah, I suppose.
Cool. Let's get to it. Because he's just not feeling anything. Was that what you got from this already?
Yes.
At this point, yeah?
Yeah. No, she was clearly... I mean, you kind of gave it away before we started watching the episode, but...
Did I? Oh, I'm sorry.
You mentioned that we're going to be watching an episode dealing with depression and stuff like that. So that kind of...
Well, when your boyfriend joins us for watching these episodes, he always asks, what are we going to watch? And then I usually say so, honestly, which is kind of bad. It makes our early mornings a little bit weird because we don't talk about the thing that we watch because we're saving that for the show.
Yes.
Right? We're keeping our powder dry, and your cat is over there, by the way, I noticed.
She's trying
pouring
to knock
all the things on the table to decide which one she's going to knock off.
It's the battery. She's already... That seems to be her current favourite, to knock it off the table.
And she's now looking away from us.
Yeah.
Now that she knows that we're... No, she's waiting for us to see.
Yeah, be distracted again. Hi, Pip.
Okay. Into the holodeck we go for the final round of designs.
Yes.
They're all standing around. Tuvok, Tom, B'Elanna, 7. Oh, that's just the team.
Yes.
Around this holographic model of a sleek little spaceship, to which Tom adds these fins on the warp nacelles, and which Tuvok removes again.
Like, you're just making it pretty.
Yeah, well, if it looks badass enough, maybe they won't mess with us.
Yes. Okay, fair.
Yeah, no, hold on.
We're not going to go for that.
Lieutenant Torres' hull design is flawed. We should be using tetraburnium alloys instead of titanium.
Yep.
Which she goes like, oh, yeah, sure.
No.
B'Elanna?
Sounds fine to me.
And, like, where's the freak out? Where's the meltdown?
Yeah.
Where's at
the
least,
I'll cut you with
like,
my batleth for even...
catty remark, yeah. I mean, not that is something that's great, but when you love and respect someone and you know that their personality is a certain way and they behave a certain way and you sort of normalize to that together, then its absence is kind of...
Noticing, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the first person to actually start, I wasn't say calling out, but that's not the right word. To try counselling is probably a better word. B'Elanna on that is Tom Paris when she comes to hand over her design.
Because they've already attained some closeness.
Right, yeah.
And there was, for a while during the script writing process, there was a chance that he was going to be the one to really reach out to her.
Right.
Robert Duncan McNeill was a little bit sad that he didn't get those scenes because he felt that the Tom had earned that.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a really interesting choice, essentially not to allow that to happen. And I don't know to which degree Roxann Dawson was involved, because this plot was heavily inspired by Roxann Dawson's own ideas.
Uh-huh.
She'd been reading about forms of depression, particularly among women expressing themselves in self-harm.
All right.
And sometimes in the form of risk-seeking behavior, but a lot of it about damage as a way to overcome numbness. And so, like, she was delighted that the writing team took up one of these notions.
Oh, nice, yes.
But the choice was apparently made to not let Tom reach her because he tries.
B'Elanna, I'm not your boss. I'm not questioning your productivity or keeping tabs on how many hours you put in. I just want to know what's going on.
No, I'm just noticing that, like, I'm not judging you. Like, you're doing your job, but it's like, yeah, you don't seem yourself.
What's really fascinating for me is she's not lashing out at him.
No.
Right? Because a lot of people who are normally much more controlled with their emotions would deal with a situation like this by lashing out.
Yeah.
You know, an unusual response. But in her case, it's the complete absence
Yeah,
of
she just withdraws even more. Well, like, I've got to go, and wanders out.
And she doesn't even completely reject him. She's still engaged in the conversation. She answers him like, I'm doing my job. I did these things. And it's not accusing. It's not passive-aggressive, or at least I didn't get that.
No, absolutely not. Just, like, emotionless.
Because there's something that she wants, and she's not getting it from him. And she doesn't know what it is. Well, she wants to feel something, and she's not getting that. So
straight back to the holodeck.
Computer. Activate holodeck program Taurus 216.
The program is active.
Disengage safety protocols.
Warning. Disengaging safety protocols presents extreme risk of injury.
And we see her in a cave where she's taking off her jacket Very good. Excellent look, showing off the guns.
Yes, all the we see again, like in the previous scene, we saw Tom as well with his undershirt as well, which they sew inside out apparently, so all the seams are on the outside.
Really?
I mean, that's what it kind of looks like.
Oh.
I'm sure it's a design choice. Her top doesn't have it quite as much as the T-shirt.
So they've got 3 layers to the uniform. They've got the undershirt, they've got the collared long sleeve,
Yeah.
and then they've got a jacket on top of it.
Yes.
Seems
Looks
like a lot.
it, yeah.
Seems like a lot to be wearing for daily work wear.
Especially on board a climate-controlled spaceship.
As someone who is prone to overheating and therefore the only exercise that I'm really compatible with is swimming, that sounds like hell. In her holographic cave, some Cardassians appear.
Yes.
Whom
one
she goes
after the other.
hand to hand with.
Yeah, like I said, calisthenics program War 14.
Yeah.
And there was some weird aliens, like...
Oh, yeah, very sort of demonic looking. I know the scene that you're talking about. But in this case, and you know, this is an early reminder. Oh, yeah, she was Marquis. It was an organization mostly of humans resisting Cardassian settlement of formerly disputed worlds, which had been ceded by the Federation to the Cardassian authorities as part of the settlement of their conflict. But the inhabitants of those worlds refused, and there were various other like anti-Cardassian sentiments that
so the Marquis technically don't fight the Federation, but they're not exactly on good terms either. The Marquis aren't picking a fight with the Federation, but the Federation is trying to keep them under control because, like, this is like you're technically Federation citizens. You're not supposed to be doing this.
Yeah, there's some excellent stories in Deep Space Nine in particular, because quite a lot of Starfleet officers sympathize with them. And sometimes under the cloak of inveiglement, they try to assist terrorist acts from their positions. Eddington in DS9 was a famous one, and Cal, friend of Cisco's. Oh, I'm trying to find the name without Chief, help me out here. Who am I talking about?
That would be Lieutenant Commander Cal Hudson, who appeared in the Season 2 two-parter episode, The Marquis 1 and 2. Fantastic episode.
Thank you. But so her as well, like what's the enemy that she still wants to fight? It's Cardassians.
Yep, she wants to get...
Because she never got to resolve that. She never got to...
No, I guess not, no. So just like doing a little Cardassian punch-up.
See the fall of Cardassia or sympathize with... See how they evolved as a culture. Well, I guess meeting Seska didn't help.
And which one was Seska again?
Oh, she was the ostensibly Bajoran member of the Marquis who turned out to be a surgically altered Cardassian who threatens Voyager quite severely. Excellent antagonist.
So, while they are hovering above the planet, keeping an eye on their probe, another ship shows up.
Yes, and here we get Controller Vrelk.
Yes.
You are the person responsible for the destruction of one of our freighters and the deaths of 9 Malon citizens.
They seem to be very, callous towards other species, like they don't really care about the other aliens that they were polluting. This guy is also out doing his little pollution lap around the gas giant, and he goes like, oh yeah, we're just gonna, I don't know how he knows what happened here, but...
Well, okay, so in my headcanon, I think she understands what the Malon are about now because she had some experience with them in Night, and she understands that they're like selfish negotiators, and that's what Vrelk is actually doing. So this accusation, she doesn't take it as, oh, this is an act of war or you have created a diplomatic situation. No, it's the opening of a negotiation where he wants something. Yeah. So she immediately repels.
I'm very sorry that lives were lost, but you're leaving out an important detail. Your people were trying to steal the probe from us. We warned them to stay away from the gas giant, but they didn't listen.
Because you could have also opened with, oh no, correction. This is actually the second Malon freighter we've destroyed. The other one we destroyed back in the Void. We're really good at destroying Malon freighters.
You don't know about that one yet. But
yeah, exactly. But let me tell you, they died screaming. How's your day?
Yes, there was a moment there when they were talking about like responsible 9 people dying, and I'm sitting like, wait a minute, there was that other ship as well. It's like, are they talking about that one or are they talking about this one?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, do they know what they're talking about? But yes, the boot of conclusion jumping are on Chakotay this episode.
It's not just any probe. It's multi-spatial technology. Maybe they think it'll help them find new places to dump their garbage.
Yeah, it's. I think you're completely right. That's a big assumption based on very little information of a whole ass culture who, apparently all the Malon always dump toxic waste, and that's the only thing that they care about.
Yeah.
We see B'Elanna coming back from her calisthenics program.
Yes, she's doing a little bit of first-year medical nursery school treatment.
Yeah, she's got a dermal regenerator under her mattress. You see her sort of admiring her injuries.
I don't think that's a mattress. I think that's look more like a stack of towels or something, or it's the world's smallest mattress.
And she does an intriguing thing where she notices herself in the bathroom mirror.
Yeah.
And she walks over and she reaches out, I think, to touch herself.
Right.
And she seems almost surprised when her hand touches the mirror.
Yeah, I'd say that's an impression of shock rather than admiration.
Okay.
That's how I read it. And she...
Oh, this is...
Non-stop. I have to admit it has a sort of strange fascination. How long can two people talk about nothing?
I may need to alter this because I think the joke has worn off, and also this is not a very jokey episode. This is our half hour or our mid-episode break mark. Okay. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with you. So now that I've had like literally 30 seconds to reflect on it, I think I actually see what's happening to her here.
Uh-huh.
I think she's realizing just how destructive these things are that she's doing, and she's trying to cope or self-manage this issue that she isn't really confronting in a different way, because she next goes to see Neelix.
Yes, I read that next scene with Neelix as an attempt to reach out and failing. And not because Neelix isn't responding, but she can't just go out and say that she's having a problem.
Yeah.
That's how I read that scene with Neelix. She goes there to seek help.
I was just hoping we could catch up.
You want to catch up? With me?
If you have the time.
Are you kidding?
Okay.
But fails to express it well enough and get her point across, basically, because there's a whole discussion with Neelix about pancakes, and Neelix is trying to reach out to her and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
But it literally ends again with, I've got to go, and I've got to get back to work.
She abandons it.
Yeah.
See, I think she's looking for comfort. Like, she tried to feel excitement or even threat previously in the holodeck. That didn't work.
Yeah.
And now she's looking for comfort and companionship and warmth that she's used to feeling from Neelix.
Right.
So how have you been?
Just great. My security training is going really well. Tuvok told me the other day that I'm not completely inept.
It's like
because she's asking about him the whole time,
right?
Yeah.
But she like to me that feels as like she's actually trying to get him to ask her that, which he doesn't.
Right.
He never asks her how she's doing, essentially.
Yeah, he does. When he's asking what she would like to eat, he says, "What's your poison?"
Yeah,
and then he adds, "Hey, I handed that to you."
I set you up there. Yeah,
with one of
name your poison. I was expecting one of those scathing but affectionate insults you always make about my cooking.
Sorry.
So yes, to me it feels like she's trying to get him to ask her that, but it kind of just peters off.
Yeah, because she wouldn't know what to say if he asked. Other people have asked. Tom asked.
Yeah,
and she trusts him a lot more. She feels very safe with him.
And yeah, it comes down to, aren't you going to try the pancakes? Which she's kind of like sitting there like, go on, aren't you going to try the pancakes? It's like, go on.
Yeah, that he went to the trouble of
replicating for her, yes.
Yeah, a replicator which she has also in her room.
Yeah, she tells him delicious and then goes back to work.
Because it doesn't do anything for her.
No.
Like, she was hoping for the kind of experience that she felt when her grandmother made her pancakes, and someone who is safe and comforting and kind.
Yeah.
And she doesn't feel that either. And so, well, I'm not getting anything out of this.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just not the right recipe. I mean, ever since we had that thing with the baking the cookies in Picard, I think it was. I can't have been able to get it out of my head that, yes, the replicator only has one recipe for everything. So if you order a curry, you're always going to get the same vindaloo. And if you're going to eat a chocolate sorbet, it's always going to be that. And if that one just doesn't happen to do it for you, then you're just shit out of luck.
And this stew will always have that one slightly undercooked bean in the top right-hand quadrant. That's going to ruin it for you.
You can flick it then.
No, but then you're putting recipes on top of recipes.
Yes.
That's like prompt engineering for an AI system.
Yes.
I said that as a joke.
Or it's like cooking with, juicing up your ramen, like your instant ramen. Like, people
totally.
like
and
to,
then,
Or like you get actually, the deep frietzaal doesn't work in English, does it?
No, it's a beautiful portmanteau in Dutch because the word pizza and deep freeze work so well together. But a deep frozen pizza, is a deep frietzaal.
Yeah, and how you tart those up when you get them? You sprinkle a little extra parmesan on and put some
more cheese.
Yes,
and then after 20 minutes in the oven, that's when
a
little bit more cheese. That's when it goes on. Because if you do it all at the start, then it gets soggy. But if you wait, then you can just keep piling that shit on. There's literally no limit, as I have discovered. So back on the bridge, 7 of 9 summons the captain, who brings Tuvok along with her to Astrometric because she has some crucial information.
We've been using coherent neutrino beams to document activity aboard the Malon freighter.
In other words, you've been spying on them.
Invasion of privacy and a breach of diplomatic protocol.
They're enemies.
They're not. Adversaries at best.
Sure.
Competitors more likely.
I mean, they're trying to steal their shit. It's like it seems reasonable to do a little spying on them. I mean, they've literally admitted to wanting to steal from Voyager. So doing a little bit of seeing what they're up to.
Salvage?
No, it's not salvage. It has to be abandoned.
Not according to your legal system.
It has to be abandoned to be salvage.
You left it in a gas giant. It looks pretty abandoned to me.
They were controlling it.
Are you... okay, go ahead and retrieve it then. Oh, you're not retrieving it right now.
That's what they're working on.
Yeah, okay, so you're not retrieving it right now, and you have no plan to retrieve it.
Also, if you're sitting on top of it saying that's ours, and then, we're working on retrieving it, then... it's not salvage. It's not salvage.
And then afterward, we'll just... whoever happens to be holding it, and then we can have a conversation about who should be holding it.
I mean, it's like with the...
After we're holding it.
This is kind of like how diplomatic incidents happen, It's like with submarines. It has literally been done. I think it was the Americans who did that. The Russians lost a sub, and the Americans just actually found it before the Russians did, and then they set up a whole sneaky ship to go and retrieve that sub, so they can steal it out from under the Russians.
But not with living people on board.
No, they were already died.
Okay,
Basically, the Russians lost the sub at sea, and then the Americans went I think they built a ship which kind of looked like a regular
trawler or something,
container ship, but it could open the belly, and so that they could go down and hoist the sub up.
Oh,
and
a claw machine,
basically like a James Bond movie.
Wow,
they just nicked it.
See, engineer's dream. I wonder if they too had an engineer who was going through a tough time.
The opposite happened with the Kursk incident when that sub sank.
I'm not familiar with it.
Oh, it was another Russian sub that sank, and they basically just put a Russian warship over it and goes nope, none of you are getting to it. I think it was eventually salvaged by a Dutch team, but they were working for the Russians, obviously under direction of the Russians.
Contract.
Yeah. But yes, that was a nuclear sub, so there was it had some problems. There were some issues with it. Yes.
Oh dear. Yeah.
They ended up sawing it in pieces and then retrieving it.
I mean, break it up into chunks is a pretty tried and true method.
Yeah, just make sure you keep the
bit
with the reactor in and with the nuclear missiles. I don't think it was actually carrying nukes at the time, but yeah.
So anyway, 7 has been spying on Malon engineers jerking off.
That appears to be a small ship.
Correct. The Malon are constructing a spacecraft.
So it's going to be a hot. It's going to be a hot rod off.
Hot rod. Oh, I like that. Yeah, we hadn't even mentioned that because Tuvok was all up in Tom's grill, hey, we're designing a spacecraft here. It's a serious spacecraft. It's not one of your toy hotted rods. But no, it totally is.
We get a nice view of the ship here. It's it gives you a good perspective of its size. With the people walking around it.
Of the Malon craft, you mean?
No, the Delta Flyer.
Oh, yes, you've moved on to the next
series.
A scene, because we get a little orbital shot of the Malon and
I guess this is where you got to, no idea it was that small. Yes.
Gorgeous. The Delta Flyer in construction, a fantastic photo composite special effect.
Mm-hmm.
We get to see the shuttle bay or one of the shuttle bays on Voyager. Never quite clear. Also, never quite consistent in how big it is from episode to episode. Who cares?
Depends on how far they zoomed in they are on the matte painting.
Okay, Kaki may not have appreciated that joke, but I appreciated that joke.
And we see this interior that, oh my god, I love the interior of the Delta Flyer.
It seems a bit cluttered. I mean, I don't know what kind of soup pan Kim is moving there, but...
They're still building it, which means that they built the set and then they took bits out or added bits to... because it's primarily a 3-seater, plus some extra jump seats at the back or an engineering station. And apparently it also has like a cargo hold, because this whole thing was designed to fill the gap between Voyager itself and its little dinky Type 2 shuttles that they've been going through like photon torpedoes.
Yes.
Because Tom says, no, the Type 2 shuttles are just not up to the Delta quadrant. We need something with more muscle, bit more...
more power, extendable warp nacelles.
Yeah, it can go a little bit faster. It's
Warp
more
9, just like
maneuverable.
everybody else.
I don't know that shuttles can reach that.
Yeah, they probably can't, yeah.
Intra and extra atmospheric, and mostly he wanted
buttons, levers.
He wanted it to fly. It's for me. I am the pilot.
clicky buttons that I can flick and diddle.
Force feedback. Nope. Also not that. They're just up and down.
Yeah.
Up and down buttons.
Where are you going?
Holodeck.
What for?
To find out if this microfracture problem is a fatal flaw.
Because there's possibility of microfracture. I love that they have like the holodeck for like doing this, like basically a perfect physics model where they can test anything that they can't just run across a regular computer.
No. And you have to have someone inside it to experience it. Because that's the thing. Like, she's just going through the motions as she was before, completely neutral. But she is paying attention to everything that's going on. She just doesn't care until they say, oh, yeah, well, this has the problem. It might cause microfractures. And her ears just go up. Ooh, that sounds dangerous. Yes. I'm going to do that. That sounds terrible. It's microfractures for me. And she abandons her post.
I mean, those resequenced photons, man, you can do a lot of that.
I know, they're good, aren't they?
Yeah, especially containing the high pressures from a gas giant within the holodeck.
Yeah, I don't understand why the holodeck can do that and regular computers can't. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, the Malons do a little bit of plasma venting of their own.
The Malon are venting a theta radiation cloud. Our shields are down to 89%.
Ensign back us off.
Yeah. And
a big green space poot comes out and...
does a number on Voyager shields.
Yeah, like it knocks a few % off right there.
And Vrelk.
That was rude, wasn't it? But we still have quite a bit of antimatter waste to expel. I hope we didn't damage your shield.
He's doing an excellent bully thing because he's moved on to the next phase of negotiation. They still haven't escalated to outright antagonism.
Yes.
But now we're doing the veiled threats. We're showing off our muscle.
Yeah, we got really a lot more. We can keep doing this because we've got loads and loads and loads more of this stuff.
There's so much more.
You sure you don't want to go somewhere else? Because we got a lot of this stuff.
No, because we just want to save you the embarrassment of losing the space race.
Yes.
And Janeway doesn't take that bait.
You're too far behind.
Well, if you're so far ahead, why bother trying to scare us away?
Nope.
Because she's not in it to rub Vrelk's nose in defeat.
No, she just wants her stuff back.
Exactly. She's got her eye on the prize, and she's only teasing Vrelk as much as is needed to benefit her team. And not the others. But even so, after she kills the transmission, she goes, okay, yeah, even if they're bluffing that they have a head start, we still need to accelerate our process.
Yes.
Computer locate Lieutenant Torres.
Lieutenant Torres is in holodeck 1.
Get down there.
So Chakotay goes to check it out and finds her that she's been knocked out by one of the violent shuttle movements and banged her head against the console. And of course, because the safeties were off, she just got knocked out and is now unconscious there in a ship on a holodeck that's about to blow the ship up.
Memory Alpha points out that on previous episodes, it was established that turning off the safeties requires 2 senior officers to give their approval, and for some reason it doesn't now.
Yeah.
But it does give a warning, which it previously hadn't.
Okay, yeah. Well, maybe they changed protocol.
You'd think you'd want both.
You'd think so, yes.
Before you do that, now I'm really curious, what must it be like for Chakotay to walk onto this holodeck? Because the shuttle is shaking.
Yes.
But the door is the shuttle door, right? So you walk from the hallway and you look inside and you just see the shuttle is completely stationary, right?
Right.
But then you step onto it and gravity's going up and
then
down because
suddenly
it's shaking.
starts the inertial motivators start throwing you around a little bit.
Until he yells freeze program and he's able to rescue B'Elanna, who apparently needs 12 hours of recovery before she wakes up in sickbay.
Well, I mean, how it feels, kind of, the aviation museum we have in Lelystad here, right?
Yes, the
So
Aviodrome.
Right. So there's one of the it's called a display, I suppose so, is where they kind of like have this little old-fashioned airporty thing, and when you're walking through the main hall, and afterwards you walk through and you get on this plane, which is kind of gently shaking and stuff while you can look at those I guess it kind of feels like that, except more violent.
But when you're looking through the hatch into that cabin, you see the cabin moving because it's on actuators.
Right, yes.
But what if it's standing still until you put your foot on it and now you're being shaken around because, it's both...
Yes, okay, that makes sense.
It's the inertial frame of reference.
Yeah,
and speaking of aviation, that was a perfect time for a plane to fly over, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
I wonder if that made it through the chief's excellent filters.
I was even sitting here thinking, I'm not going to even edit this out because people will just think that I did that myself and, oh, look at how clever and smart that I'm being. But no, it's not actually that way. But now what I was thinking about when you're referring to going from the stationary hallway to the moving holodeck was actually if you were to go onto an earthquake simulator, because that does do exactly that. So that would be, I think, what it would be mostly be like. So there'd be like a motion sickness effect, or like when you're going from... when you like jump off of like a moving object, like if you were to like jump off of like a merry-go-round as a little kid, you're suddenly coming to a complete stop, or you're jumping on, you're trying to like hold on, like stuff that I would do as a kid, you kind of have that feeling just like, oh, whoa, how do I get this? How do I like maintain this? So that's kind of what I'm imagining that would be like, is kind of a mix of those two things. So that's really what I kind of think about it as, and I feel like that's fairly accurate to what it would be like.
So yes, 12 hours she was out, and I need to get back to work. And the doctor's like, no.
The captain says no.
Captain says no.
She walks in the door and immediately like dismisses the doctor.
Yep.
And she's going full captain. She's going right up to the edge of where her authority goes. She doesn't hold back.
Basically confronts her with the fact that
He found evidence of internal bleeding, fractured vertebrae, contusions, cranial trauma. I guess the accident was pretty serious. The injuries I'm talking about didn't happen recently.
She tries to downplay it and like I get knocked about on occasion. And goes, well, why weren't there any injury reports then of you? And she's still coming out right at it. Like, okay, so
Which she in this case?
Oh, the captain.
If I were to check, would I find that you've been running other programs without safety protocols?
Which B'Elanna declines to answer, which of course is an answer in its own right. I mean,
yeah. But this interaction is brilliant because she's doing it in private. The doctor has been dismissed.
You can still hear it. He's everywhere on the holiday.
Yes, okay.
No,
and probably like Seven is electron tunneling into this room as well. Because, hey, this machine works in all directions. Oh, I'm going to listen in on Harry's tuba or clarinet practice. But like she's confronting him, I have this information about you and these are the conclusions that I've drawn.
Yes.
And gives B'Elanna the opportunity to refute either the information or the conclusions. B'Elanna is unsuccessful.
Yep.
Right? Her interpretations don't hold water.
B'Elanna denies everything, basically.
Yep.
And until you decide to be more forthcoming, you'll remain under the doctor's supervision. Which means you're off the shuttle project. I'm sorry.
But B'Elanna doesn't need that apology. Like, I'm not sorry. I don't.
Yeah, and then she's like, okay, now I know something is wrong. It's like,
yeah,
I suspected it at first, but now I know something's wrong.
And that's where it ends.
Yep.
Because this is what I so respect. Like she's taking her management role very personally. She's taking personal responsibility. I have ultimate responsibility over this crew person, and I'm going up to this edge of where my responsibility stops, and now it's up to them. Okay, I can take them off duty, and that's as far as I can go.
It's like, because yes, you are under the doctor's care until you fess up, basically.
And then she calls a team meeting, or actually, she's talking to Chakotay and Tom about the progress of the shuttle. And once that business is done with, the next most important project to talk about is B'Elanna.
Yeah.
And this is really difficult because she's talking to them, okay, who can give me another option besides violating her privacy?
Yes. So, yeah, apparently it's still a big no-no to check out other people's holodeck directory.
As it should be.
Of course, yes.
These are, of course, extreme circumstances of isolation and not having a support network. But like she's going, okay, so we have Chakotay, you know her the longest. Tom, you're the closest with her. I'm the captain. We've all tried. Neelix has tried. We've all noticed the same things. She needs help. She's not getting it. What can we do? And I think it's the hardest that Tom get put in the position to essentially give permission for violating his girlfriend, I think, at this point.
Oh, okay. They're actually dating at this point? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. They haven't married yet. But he concurs.
It's actually Chakotay who gets the job of going through her programs.
Yeah.
Which is fair, that should go to, either to the ship's counselor, which they don't have, and if not, then the XO seems like the right person to do that kind of thing.
Oh, do you think it's because of his rank or because of his history with B'Elanna?
I would say because of his rank. It seems it seems like you don't want, especially in such a close-knit community as Voyager is, being so far away from everything.
That's kind of exactly why I would... Okay. If you decided to go on a space adventure through time and space, and your house had to be cleared out, and you needed someone to do the thing that the gentlemen do need before their parents look at any of the, you clear your cache.
Yeah.
Somebody needs you clear your cache. Would you expect your boyfriend to be asked to do that, or me? And this is not a favorites thing.
No, I know.
But we have decades between us, so even though you're much closer to someone, I feel like I'd pick Chakotay because he knows her the best already.
Okay.
So there's the least harm that can be done to her privacy. There's the fewest secrets that he doesn't already know.
Actually, I tend to agree with you. Can't think about it like now, because my other thought was who else would be the suitable person? And the answer to that would be Tuvok. And maybe even...
for his capacity to internalize... He's an intelligence officer. He was a spy.
Exactly.
Secrets.
So, and therefore, that's the thing. And he's he used to be the first officer as well. So he's.
We got corrected on that by Laura. He was never her first officer.
Oh, okay.
There was Cavett. He dies almost immediately after being introduced in Caretaker. But yeah, he was the security officer of Voyager.
But okay, so therefore that would made him even more perfect for this. So I guess he still is a security officer then.
Yes, but security personnel shouldn't gain access to non-mission relevant information about.
True.
Because this is about the next would be the Doctor, I think.
Right. Yeah. Fair.
Who could best protect her privacy? Because it certainly shouldn't be the captain. She's very wise to accuse herself from that.
Anyway, so but I'm inclined to agree to you that she chooses Chakotay for the job because, of personal history.
Okay, so now I'm going to make the argument why him physically grabbing her and pushing her inside is in the context of this culture that they share.
First, I need to talk about something that you said. I think it was during the episode where Riker was on the Klingon ship.
Okay.
If Klingons perhaps have a different spectral viewpoint. Because I noticed that B'Elanna's bedroom is lit up like a Klingon.
You're right. She's got her lights all red.
Yeah.
Maybe these are her comfortable reading lights with just
I suppose,
a heavy dose of infrared. Oh, that's excellent, Kay.
So I'm inclined towards your theory that yes, Klingons just have a slightly different visual spectrum.
Yeah, their rainbows progress past red.
For instance,
in the way that yours progresses past violet, right?
Kinda. It's like
you see an extra band with your special.
It's more like I'm fairly sensitive to ultraviolet light. I get a headache really quickly if I start reading in. And yes, if there's a very bright rainbow, basically the only thing that I can describe it is you get past violet. There's a band which is light.
Right.
It just seems a little bit brighter than the sky around it should be. So that's, I'm
Interesting.
assuming that means that I lean a little bit more towards the ultraviolet side of the spectrum, because I've also got excellent night vision.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So
I'm trying to think. Night vision. Well, okay. The moon reflects some ultraviolet as well.
I have no idea, but yes, it's.
I envy your excellent eyes, Kay.
So, Kay, between your eyes and my eyes, we have one good pair of eyes between us, because I've got all my color blindness and everything, and you've got advanced color apparently. We have one perfectly average set of eyes between us.
So notice how Chakotay is when he comes in. It's very casual, and she's immediately kind of at ease.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks familiar surroundings will help speed my recovery.
Recovery from what?
That's what I said.
He thinks I'm suffering from clinical depression.
And she feels at ease that, hey, here's someone who I can gripe with, professional griping, like you do on the job.
Yes, that kind of goes out of the window pretty quickly as soon as he basically confronts her with, like, are you depressed? And she's like, goes very defensively, like, oh, what are you, the new ship's counselor?
Because all of his responses could still be within that context. They could still be, joking and jibing with one another. But then he confronts her with, because I'm a Marquis like you, we do things a little differently. We're a little rougher with each other. We don't have the same boundaries that Starfleets do. So I've actually been looking at your holodeck programs. I've invaded your privacy. That's what we do on a Marquis ship. If push comes to shove, that's the kind of thing we have to accept from one another.
Well, he doesn't really come out and say that.
What do you say you and I pay a little visit to the holodeck? You can show me some of the programs you've been running.
It's only afterwards that he admits to having already done that.
Yeah. Because the Marquis, a lot of them are criminals.
Yes.
Right?
By definition, but yes.
Oh, a lot of them were criminals before they joined as well.
Right,
Like
okay,
in a rebellion, you have to work with whoever you can get. And when you want to do, hit and run thievery, someone who's done it before is a welcome addition to your crew. But
good point, yes.
Therefore, they also can't expect the same kind of professionalism and decorum from everyone.
Computer, activate holoprogram Torres Zeta 1.
Program activated.
What are you doing?
And then he literally picks her up and drags her in.
Because he's keeping her in this moment of realness.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of these masks that she's been wearing, and I hope I'm using this term correctly, masking is a practice by people going through various things, including neurodivergent people, in order to give the presentation that people expect, in order to get to get through life, right? Without, as opposed to actually being real about how you feel or how you think or what you behave.
Yeah.
So masking is like fulfilling expectations.
Okay,
and she's finally dropping that. And he's shocking her, which is something that a layperson is not recommended to do for someone else.
No.
In order to help them. But in a sort of crisis situation, like these are foxhole buddies, right?
Right. Yes.
And in the absence of the kind of support structure where you could have more advanced forms of therapy, this kind of shock treatment is a way to reach out to one another in the way that, like, a layperson is not recommended to do a tourniquet unless, like, the leg is off.
Yes, unless there's, like, this artery going...
Right, and it's better to just try something.
You're not going to make it worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So, well, it's interesting because, like, he
Oh, God, yes, we are...
The power went out.
Yes.
And I got lost.
All right, shut up. Just shut up.
No, we're still talking about this very good episode. This is going to be a long one because it's so talky.
Is there a third warning?
No, we're safe from now on. So I actually... relax, because we've got, like... I think this MP3 is like 2 hours long in total. I gave us a lot of silence at the end.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, Greg. It's going to be a long one.
If he had a penny...
What?
For every time... I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Greg. It's going to be a long one.
Oh, dear.
See, I managed this whole hour being really good.
Oi.
Oh, I couldn't tell if you were disciplining me or the defendant, your Felis Catus.
Yes, who's sitting there swatting at me around the armrest of the chair, I mean.
Yeah, she's in a mood.
You created a program to watch all our Marquis friends get slaughtered. What I want to know is why.
I thought we came down here to talk about safety protocols. This has nothing to do with that.
I'm not so sure.
They can't, like, prompt her. That's it. She doesn't just want to be asked because she wouldn't answer. She doesn't want to be supported because she doesn't know what she needs. She needs this kind of prompt, a situation where she can actually piece together what she's feeling. And that's what Chakotay's given her.
Well, it's interesting because he mentions that, like, okay, I told you about the news of our friends having been having been killed.
Yeah.
And then she creates this program, which only ran for 47 minutes. So I guess she's just kind of like...
Seconds, even.
47 seconds, right. Sorry.
Yep.
Did I say minutes?
Months ago.
Yeah. Oh, was it... that? It doesn't say when this happened.
That was the timeline that Janeway established.
Oh,
like
okay.
This behavior has been happening for weeks, even months.
Okay, I missed that one.
And it started with the news that they received via the Pathfinder program. They've been receiving updates from the Federation, including apparently the news that the Marquis were wiped out, or at least the cell that they belonged to, and all the people that they worked with have
So
died.
she kind of just like reconstructed what she thinks it might have been and how her friends got killed. Ran that for a bit and then went into a depressive phase. Yeah.
Because if I sprain my ankle, at least I feel something.
What do you mean?
I'm not trying to kill myself. I'm trying to see if I'm still alive.
When she got that news, apparently she didn't feel grief.
Right.
And she wanted to feel that, so she created the simulation, and she walked in here, and it also didn't do anything for her.
And then she just decided she'd shut down so far that she wasn't feeling anything anymore and started doing the dangerous programs.
Yeah, you're right. And she experiences it as if it's something that's wrong with her, as if her mechanism for feeling things isn't working.
Right.
And Chakotay's saying, well, no, you're probably doing this yourself.
Yeah, you're shutting it down.
You're denying your own feelings, you're denying your own process of grief, but at the same time you expect it still to happen. And you're disappointed that it isn't.
Well, and yes, and she actually explains it because she says, like, I don't want to go through this again, so that's why I'm shutting down.
A few years later, I got separated from the Marquis. And just when I start to feel safe, you tell me that all of our old friends have been slaughtered. The way I figure it, I've lost every family I've ever had.
But Chakotay says, you have a new family now.
And we'll have your back. And she says very rightly, you can't make that promise.
Yeah,
stuff happens.
Like, yeah, we're going to get lost, but the family's not going to leave you behind. It's like people might die, we might all die together, but we're not going to leave you. Yeah.
Here's where I sort of diverged from my appreciation of this episode. I still appreciated it, but there's an alternate version where her response is actually kind of valid and rational, right? She really doesn't want to be hurt again. Then she can choose not to feel this. There's actually 2 people on board who have excellent experience with that, for whom that's a way of life, and that's Seven.
Yeah.
Because she had a strange upbringing for a human as a Borg.
And Tuvok, I guess.
And Tuvok.
And the other Vulcan, which we...
Vorik. Yeah, well, get out of my seat, Vorik. Off you go.
Yes.
I think she fucked Vorik when either she or he was going through Ponfar or something.
Oh, okay.
That's an episode I don't quite remember. Maybe that came
she wouldn't go through Ponfar, so it would make sense that it would be he.
Oh, there was
like,
something. She's half Klingon. They have their own thing as well.
Not Ponfar, though.
No, not Ponfar, but they get the horns, right? And literal horns, maybe. I don't know. Maybe some spikes come out of the forehead ridges. I don't know.
But she's only half Klingon, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Top half. Or bottom half, or like, I don't know which.
There's a poem in Dutch, unfortunately, which is called Tower Scent, which is about someone who is centaur, but the front half is horse and the back part is human.
Oh, okay.
Which we would call a furry, I guess, but it's...
Yeah, no, that's just a troubling image. Let's just move on from that one. Because, you could imagine her going over to Tuvok, hey, I kind of want to live without emotions. How do you guys do it? Because if a Vulcan can learn it...
And Tuvok would probably be, well, that's not recommended for humans, and besides it's like long and dangerous, and like you have to start practicing this from birth, and you probably wouldn't be able to do it anyway, and like inferior non-Vulcans. He's not really like that, but I mean, most Vulcans are kind of like that.
A lot of them that we've seen, there's... But I think that in this calm state, she'd actually be able to overcome that. Yeah, none of those arguments. Yeah. Okay, if you don't want to, you can just say so.
Yeah.
But I genuinely want to learn. That would have been an interesting dynamic to explore. But instead, stuff blows up.
Well, roughly at the time that they're coming to this conclusion, and Chakotay reassures that we'll find out, we'll work it out together. At first, I'm like, oh, the inertial motivators are kicking in again. But no, it's the Malon who are shooting spatial charges at Voyager in order to distract them from the shuttle launch.
The launch of the... What did the Malon call their ship? The Voyager has the Delta Flyer?
I don't know. I don't think it's ever named.
No, but Kay, you have an opportunity...
No, I mean, I would call it like the way it's like presented on the screen.
Uh-huh.
I was kind of like expecting Janeway to go like fire, you know. It's like someone just. It kind of flies. It kind of flies like a clay pigeon does, and is like kind of expected to look. Okay, fire, boom, pull,
pull. Oh, wow.
But no, they just let it go, and they like speed up the process. Like now we have to launch ahead.
Damn the torpedoes. So
we've got to launch now if we're going to get to the probe first. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
What about the micro inertial
fractures? We'll just have to rush it.
We'll keep an eye on them.
So yes, like we built this new ship, and we're going to like take it like one of those little millionaire submarines towards the Titanic on its first try. No sea trials, no nothing.
No, that's right.
We're just going to
That's right. Oh, that's terrible. And it does have a video game controller because it's from Tom Paris' video game. Okay, we're going to rename it. It's the Titanic 2. It's the Titanic 2000. Oh my God, what a terrible thing you've just... It took an hour, but we found an excellent joke here that isn't hugely upsetting. No, it is. It is hugely upsetting.
People died.
People definitely are dying. Okay. So here's something that I think is going to win sort of my MVP. They ask for an extra pair of hands.
Yes.
And Chakotay is sent down to assist, and he grabs a little engineering kit.
Yes.
On the way, he bumps into B'Elanna, who's let me
B'Elanna comes running up.
I should be there. I'm still the best engineer we've got.
Not lately.
I can do this. I need to do this.
And this is, a model of healing that we see a lot on Star Trek and in media.
Right.
That, no, I just need to prove something to myself. And once I've proven to myself, then the healing will happen on its own, which is,
Well, I mean, what I think is
handy
happens
for the
here...
big red reset button.
I mean, she says, I just want to do my job, and I'm the best at this job here.
Yeah.
And I think what convinces Chakotay is that he sees that she is actually excited about this. She actually believes this.
Huh.
I think that she's kind of like breaking out of her passivity here.
Right.
And he sees that her concern is genuine. It's not just like, I suppose I should be doing this because I need to do my job. But that she's actually motivated about this.
Because she also does. She's back to the B'Elanna that we know. That she shows her intelligence aggressively. No, I know you think that I'm just looking for risk.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Yeah,
and this is actually true.
I can do this. I need to do this, and that kind of convinces him. I think
that's the B'Elanna he knows, and that's the one that is indeed better for the job than he is.
40 seconds to launch.
So they need an extra pair of hands. So she subs in for Chakotay, walks inside, and dismisses Vorik.
Does Vorik actually leave the ship?
Yes.
You're
You're in my seat.
Yeah.
And he walks out the door. So you now have the same number
amount
of
of
hands.
people.
You had 2 engineers, and now you've just got 1. What's the... But no, we're all fine with it. This is okay. We're moving on, and it's a space race.
Yes,
the Delta Flyer emerges. It's such a cool design. It's such a cool little ship.
When you see it flying out, especially when it turns away towards the planet, it really feels a little bit like the modern colonial Vipers. It has a little bit of that same triangular...
yes, the Mark 7s from the new Battlestar Galactica.
They've got a longer nose, but it kind of has the same backside
same sort of
lines.
Silhouette. Yeah,
right, yeah.
It's an elongated pyramid. Oh, gosh. There isn't like a fish that you can compare it to, but it feels like a fish.
Yeah, I can see what you mean, yes.
Or a dart. And it's got these lovely, unnecessarily curved struts in the windows.
Yes. Well... Yes, I mean, maybe that's for load distribution,
Yeah, exactly. It seems like it probably does something. It is visually fascinating.
They've got a big overhead window.
Yes.
And speaking of Battlestar Galactica, again, the seating arrangement kind of... It's kind of the inverse of what the old Cylons did, which were also 3-person
yes,
ships.
they were all sort of sitting there Mamma mia, mamma mia, mamma mia, let me go be as a bub.
As a Cylon put aside for me.
So you've got this awesome shot. You've got Tom Paris in front. You've got 7 on the left, Harry Kim on the right, and just over Tom's shoulder, there's B'Elanna. You've got them all in a 4x3 frame.
Yep.
It's beautifully set up. And they're chasing down the Malon flyer,
Yes, it's 200 kilometers off the port bow and 3,000 kilometers from the probe, and we're still not quite inside transporter range.
Time for some of those Borg-inspired weapons, and they fire some photonic missiles at their competitors.
3 direct hits.
They're losing attitude control, pulling up, and evading. Good thing that they didn't get a hull breach, because they would have...
Yeah. Were you planning to just straight up murder these other people?
And if so, if this is on the table, why didn't they just shoot the ship with Voyager's plasma cannons?
Were you planning to kill them? It turns out, okay, it didn't...
If you were going to do that, you should have just disabled them with the stronger...
Could have done
phasers.
that.
No, what are the main guns called again on the... not phasers?
Phasers, yeah.
They are phasers?
Those are the particle weapons. Photon torpedoes are the projectile weapons.
Oh, yes.
Now they have photonic missiles, apparently Borg-inspired on the Delta Flyer.
I mean, Borg-inspired, that sounds like a bit of a... It just means it was technology from one of the species that the Borg assimilated.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good point. That is a very good point. I was recently confronted with a list of like scientific or engineering achievements credited to Russia.
Right.
Which, since the dissolution of the Soviet superstate, like I've actually realized that a lot of my favorite Russian food is actually Ukrainian, and Kazakh, and Bashkir.
Yes.
And actual Russian hadn't
Not so
nearly
much of that.
contributed so much as like the Imperium of Super Russia.
Right.
In these fields.
Very good point.
But a scientific contribution is about to be made. Because while they were chasing down the Malons, while they were chasing down this probe, those microfractures have been happening in the form of like this bulkhead buckling.
Right.
And B'Elanna has an idea.
First of all, they're a little bit frugal with the special effects because like beaming the probe aboard completely happens off scene. Apparently the probe is quite small because it's it fits in the cargo hold of the Delta Flyer.
Yeah, the Delta Flyer is quite big. It's just or maybe I don't know, maybe just the core.
Lieutenant, what are you doing?
Patching a hole before it opens.
That'll never hold.
It'll hold a minute or two, and with any luck, that's all we need.
Hands over the torch to Seven, who continues finish the job Marquis MacGyvers.
Yes, starts pulling stuff apart. I have no idea what it is that she's pulling away from out of that thing. Oh, an EPS relay apparently.
EPS relay and something else and a phaser, and she's turning the phaser into a jury-rigged shield generator.
I didn't know phasers could do that, but yeah.
I don't know. I have no. Apparently, it turns out 100% of the time it's possible to use it, or maybe they were just using the projection emitter, and it's actually the EPS conduit that's the shield generator. No idea how that works.
But it works just in time for the hull breach to hold up against the shield.
And the Delta Flyer
is saved.
Makes its ascent back to the mothership, lands in the docking bay. Oh, it looks so cool. And all's well that ends well.
And the Malon?
They're a little preoccupied. Seems their shuttlecraft's having a problem climbing out of the gas giant's atmosphere.
Gets shot by 3 photonic missiles. I can imagine you'd be having a little bit of difficulty.
Doesn't occur to anyone to render resistance.
Well, I'm sure it's occurred to them.
Yeah.
I'm also pretty sure that they're not going to.
Yeah, we're just moving on from that one. There's a final little coda, which this is the big red reset button of the Berman era of Star Trek, where, well, now that we've gotten that out of the way, you're on your way to healing, right? And we never need to discuss it again.
It's usually I'm the one who's giving the uncharitable interpretation of events.
It's my only little warp core.
But in that case.
Oh, come on! To the defense rides K.
I mean, he does actually go back and check in on her. And he tells it like, okay, this is like, it is played as this will take time, and I'm gonna keep an eye on you. And of course, yes, then it's still there's the big red reset button, because now we've had the episode of B'Elanna's depression, so now she'll be back to her usual script writing thing. But still, I can see how they at least try to put a nod to it to indicate that this is not an instant thing and it's going to take time.
Yeah. Because that was the reality of television making at the time.
Yeah.
It was syndicated, very episodic. All of those had a reason.
And to show that, yes, indeed, B'Elanna is back on the road to healing.
But if you ever do anything like that again, I'll break your neck.
Oh, good point. Yeah, because that is a boundary that she doesn't want him crossing again.
No, exactly. And she's up to her usual way of telling people what it is and how it's going to go. And it ends with her cracking a genuine, delighted smile when she has another go at the banana pancakes.
And they actually taste good to her now.
And it actually brings the smile back on her face that her grandmother's pancakes used to.
Oh.
So, yes.
Oh, yes. The sound effect that I always forget to have ready when we're done is about to come in. Wow, it's taking a while to go on its own. Oh, amazing. Here we go. There we go. See, I did.
There we go.
I can't even pretend to have it. All right. In this episode of many ups and downs and more downs than ups, what did you think was especially
so fucking cool?
Oh,
just a little bit, ooh, a little bit more, ooh,
I think the Delta Flyer was very cool. I mean, this is the first time we get to see it.
It's
this
so
one is
cool.
Built, yes. So I guess that's going to be it.
And see the ship being built. Ooh, ooh, ooh. It looks just like the Laura, the Blackbird. In Battlestar Galactica, they built their own stealth
it does a bit, yeah.
spacecraft.
It also looks a bit like, I think, the shuttles from V, if I remember that correctly.
Oh, I don't know, though.
I might be wrong there. So, yes, that's definitely... The Delta Flyer gets my MVP vote.
I'm with James, who recommended this episode, and mine goes to Roxann Dawson. Like, her performance was exquisite. Yes. I found it very affecting. I can only imagine what it must have been like for someone who really recognized themselves in what B'Elanna was going through. Like, it would have been interesting to find out, like, whether James or people who had experience with this kind of grief and shutting down recognized what she was going through before the big reveal. Because, like, there's an alternate reading where when you go into this episode, not knowing any of that, you might think, like, has she been replaced by a founder? Does she have a brain parasite? Is she
who knows?
Actually from a parallel universe? Are we watching a different version of Voyager? All those things can happen as well.
Maybe she's just checking too many chill pills.
It could be anything, yeah. Maybe she's playing that game where you put the thing on your head and then you put the disc in the hoop and then you come.
But put the disc in the trumpet game.
Yeah, the disc in the trumpet and then you jizz. Whatever your speech. No, I think everyone does it. Like
doing little sex wee.
Little sex wee. Okay, that's even better. No need. We have no need for Stephanie Chekhov to tell us about the sex wee. I think we all get that. And then we have one more, and that is, what is your...
Captain's log, supplementary.
Okay, the first one I had was going to be when B'Elanna is in this holodeck testing the for microfractures, and she had forgotten to re-engage the safety protocol, and things went absolutely horribly wrong there. But then that unfortunately gets subverted by her actually deactivating the safety protocols again, so that can't be done.
Oops.
So I'm just going to have to go with still B'Elanna, but this time when she's working on the shuttle, she is actually grabs an X-Acto knife and starts tearing the carpet out, which they apparently found time to put a carpet in the shuttle, which they were building really quickly. No, they kind of had to carpet, can't do it without carpet.
Oh, they probably got like carpet spray that you can just sort of spray over the floor and it grows little hairs.
Like tearing out the carpet and then using that to patch up the hole like it's an old-fashioned submarine which is being bolted with pieces of wood and cloth to hold off the immense pressures from the outside.
Yeah, handy little backyard bathysphere.
Exactly. So, yes, that was mine.
And my deleted scene is actually inspired by you, and it's the musical number where they're putting together the Greased Lightning Delta Flyer.
Yes.
Because this should be a musical episode.
Delta Flyer.
We need a filked version of that so badly. Oh, if we can find one, or if one of our beloved listeners can send us a good set of lyrics for the Delta Flyer to the tune of Greased Lightning, well, we'll enjoy it.
Yes.
I'm not going to promise any more than that, but knowing us...
We might perform it, yes.
We're about due for another karaoke, aren't we?
Oh, dear, you mean?
All right. Now, you know what? From now on, I'm going to use this for the final flourish at the end, after we've done all these, because then it's time to find out what we're going to do next time, which is always a surprise. Chief... Have we asked the Chief for anything? Yes, we did ask him for one thing. So let's see what he has in store for us next week.
Answer. That is for me to know and for you to find out.
Jack?
Paul.
It's a Paul?
Yes.
You recognize that line?
It feels like T'Pol. Sorry, not T'Pol. Spock's girlfriend. T'Pring, yes.
You think it's Strange New Worlds?
I think it's Strange New Worlds, yes. Go
on. Okay.
Say pretty please with sugar on top.
Wait, okay. That sounds like a line from the Peacekeeper Wars, the final episode of Farscape.
Right, yes.
Where John is taunting Scorpius.
Wrong series.
I am completely lost.
Yeah.
A cold-blooded ambush. Let's give the heathens a fight they won't soon forget.
Okay, he's doing a Scotty. He's doing a Scotty impersonation, which means it can still be Strange New Worlds because Scotty does appear.
Turn off those food synthesizers. We're knee-deep in desserts and they're still pouring out.
Okay, that sounds like Lower Decks, but...
Okay, here's one more.
Captain, crew members McCoy, Sulu, and Uhura are still in the recreation room and did not answer the call to stations.
I think I know. I sort of know what this is.
Yeah?
I think this is the animated series.
Could well be, yes.
Because the recreation room is an antecedent to the technologies we've been seeing here before. Holodecks didn't appear first in The Next Generation. They appeared first in the animated series, and it was called the Recreation Room.
Oh, okay.
I think that might be it.
Okay. Yeah, I've no clue. I can go
There
in.
is no way you guys got this.
Okay,
but
no,
the episode is the animated series, season 2, episode 3, The Practical Joker.
Ooh!
I think I've heard about that one.
Animated series.
Yes.
Okay. Are we going to get super high next time? Are we going to
Super
fulfill
high.
this?
Oh,
yeah.
oh dear.
Just crazy blazed out of our gourds.
I have to make some edibles, maybe. I'm looking forward to it.
And our audience might be looking forward to it as well. Thank you so much for joining us. You can go to... our chief will tell you all about that. Chief, we'll promise we'll get you more involved next time. But in the meantime...
The hell is this?
I'm leaving Starfleet.
Energize!
I went deep with that one.
Yes, I
like
heard,
it.
yes.
We hope you've enjoyed this week's episode with friends Kay and Kaki, production and editing by Chief Engineer Greg, and music by Fox Amore. Join us next time for the animated series Season 2, Episode 3, The Practical Joker. Visit trovetrek.com/links to send us recommendations, support us on Patreon, or to find us on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for listening to The Joy of Trek, and we'll see you out there.